It's crazy, but that's just how it is. I think it's crazy how everything's going up.
So, speaking of JD, anytime you want to pop in, you're more than oh, here we go. Look who's there.
It's JD. There he is.
Salutations, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. So, we've been talking about cost of things and salaries. So now let's talk about Brock Purdy's rookie contract paid him an average of 934,252 per season. Now he's going to make that every 6.4 days. Thoughts, Pensman?
Okay. NFC Championship game. It was the Eagles and 49ers. He got this part messed up. He had surgery. Ever since he had surgery, he hasn't been the same. You get surgery, you don't play the same. I think it's overpriced. I really do. He's not worth it anymore. When he went to that 10-game winning streak or whatever it was, that's before surgery. After surgery, he hasn't been the same.
Ralph, your thoughts on Brock Purdy and his contract?
Well, you know what? The quarterbacks, Candy and Pensman and JD, they're all getting overpaid now as it is. I mean, it's starting to become a runaway train. I mean, everyone's getting all these big salaries. And what's interesting is that the owners thought about this, I believe it was last year, about having a quarterback salary cap because they can't afford to pay them anymore because they keep asking for more and more money. And it's getting out. It's become a runaway freight train here with this.
JD, your thoughts on Brock Purdy?
Well, first of all, I kind of agree with Pensman for sure. I don't think he was worth the contract. Not yet. I know he's led them to NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl loss, but I can't imagine that them paying him this much is more than back paying him for what he did as a rookie. And so I'm not sold that he's worth that money. And Candy, if I could, I don't know if we've mentioned this, but I know you had sent it to me as a topic. But when you look at the quarterbacks, the top paid ones in the NFL, how many of them have Super Bowl wins? Dak Prescott doesn't. Jordan Love doesn't. Trevor Lawrence doesn't. Joe Burrow
Cousins doesn't.
Josh Allen, Tua, Brock, Goff, Herbert, Lamar Jackson. And that is your top 10 quarterbacks. There's another stat that there's only 2 quarterbacks that have ever won a Super Bowl making more than 13% of their salary cap. Anybody care to take a stab at who those 2 are? Ralph, how about you? You seem like a trivia guy. Who are the 2 quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls making more? I think it might have even been 12% of their salary cap, but 12 or 13% of their salary cap.
Jalen Hurts.
Nope.
Let me think. You say 1 Super Bowls?
Yep, correct.
Mhm.
There's only 2
that
that
are
won
currently
through it.
playing. And that are currently playing.
One is currently playing. One played in the 90s.
In the 90s, Troy Aikman.
Nope.
I would say he won some Super Bowls.
Yeah, but
Brett
he
Favre.
wasn't making more than 13%. It's Steve Young.
Steve Young, wow.
Yeah, with the 49ers.
I didn't even,
And the one playing today is pretty simple. Who's won the most Super Bowls recently?
Patrick
Mahomes. Yeah. He's still, yeah.
And so, yes, the NFL owners, to Ralph's point, they wanted to create a separate salary cap just for the quarterbacks to allow them to pay them if they needed to. But again, back to the Brock Purdy thing, I'm not sold that he's the dude. We'll see. But the 49ers lost 17 players this offseason. I don't think that Brock Purdy elevates the play of everybody else around him. There's no chance, and you know where, that I would pay him that type of money out. That's just me.
But he's not the only one on that list that I would think that would need to be more proven. Like Trevor Lawrence isn't very proven. And to be honest with you, Jordan Love isn't that proven.
No.
To be making that kind of money. But the other question is who else is out there that you would pay that money or you would want. That's the other thing. Like there's a flip side. Yes, we think they're getting paid these astronomical contracts, and they are, but on the flip side, if you don't pay them, then they're going to walk, and then who are you going to get to replace them?
That's the question, Candy. And then on top of that, they might go somewhere else and win a Super Bowl. You see, that's the gamble you have to play on this.
But Brock Purdy would know that it can't end in a tie, and he knows the overtime rules now.
Yeah.
Hey, that was Kyle Shanahan's fault.
Yeah.
But on
Yeah, it was.
on that list, I would say there's 3 quarterbacks that are worth the money they're making potentially.
I know. I'm just saying,
Or-
Brock Purdy would know the rules now.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I wasn't saying but to that. I was talking about
Right.
what Ralph had mentioned about how many of
Right.
these quarterbacks deserve the money.
So
There's-
you would say Josh Allen,
Yep,
Lamar Jackson,
yep.
and who's your
Jalen
third?
Hurts.
Joe
Jalen
Burrow
Hurts.
would be my third.
Third-
Jalen
okay.
Hurts
Jalen
isn't
Hurts,
on the
yeah.
list. Jalen Hurts isn't on this list. And then you could maybe discuss Jordan Love. Maybe. But he's still got more to prove so he's like right there. If he wins, like a lot of people expect Green Bay to do this year, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Love would potentially be worth paying that money for.
So you wouldn't put Jalen Hurts in that list.
Jalen Hurts already
He's not on the top 10 list that I'm referring to about the top paid
the
quarterbacks.
highest paid.
Right.
have
I know.
one
I'm
Super
saying you
Bowl.
wouldn't put him on.
But that
This
I don't get it.
Of
Yeah,
I don't
Super
get it.
Bowl wins by highest paid quarterbacks.
All right. Okay.
He's
Yeah.
not in the top 10 of highest paid, is what we're saying.
Okay.
That's why he's not in this list.
right. And yeah, that's what I was just talking about this
Right,
list. So no,
okay.
I couldn't put Jalen Hurts in there. I mean,
Alex
Tua.
is in the house.
What in the world has Tua Tagovailoa done to make
Concussion?
$53.1 million?
Well, Brian Flores, JD, got fired because he didn't want Tua. You know that, don't you?
I thought he got fired because the ownership wanted him to tank and he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, well, he didn't want Tua. Exactly. That's what happened.
Yeah. So that he didn't want to tank for
He
Tua.
was right.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. And what sucks about it is McDaniel is a heck of a coach. I know we've gotten a little bit off topic, but
Yeah.
That's
Mike
okay.
McDaniel is a heck of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't pay Brock Purdy that type money. I mean, I guess Jared Goff, you could maybe throw him in there. He makes $53 million a year. Had some bad breaks in the playoffs, but
You could add
I don't-
Stafford in there too.
Stafford.
Yeah,
that's
man.
that one.
he's not on the list.
Baller.
Yeah, no.
He's
Yeah.
not.
I
On
know.
But Stafford won a Super Bowl.
I was going to say
Yeah.
Stafford won a Super Bowl
Yeah.
too. These are all people that have not won a Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
so with that being said, since we're in the NFL, how do you guys feel about the new award that they're going to award in 2025? I don't know if you've heard about this. The NFL is going to debut a new end of season award. It's called the Protector of the Year Award. The award will honor the best offensive lineman each season beginning in 2025. The winner will be selected by a panel of former offensive linemen. Thoughts? JD?
I think it's very interesting. I can't believe there isn't already an award that awards the top offensive lineman. And I will say this. I guarantee you the first year it goes to a Philadelphia Eagles player because of his impact on the not banned tush push.
We're talking about that Saturday on our radio show up in Pittsburgh, or the Sports Corner radio show. We're talking about the tush push. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a very, very good discussion about it last night, Pensman and I, on Southern
His
Fried
show.
Sports. Yeah,
On his show last night.
fun show. Sorry, shameless plug.
No,
yeah,
it's okay. It's all
But
good.
yeah, regardless of the tush push, like I said, I think it'll be a Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman. I just had to throw in that jab at the tush push.
Pensman, your thoughts? Protector of the year.
I like it. It's different. It's good to have different rewards out there.
Ralph, your thoughts?
I like the award. In fact, I got a guy who I think should get the award, and he's going to be getting $82 million with the Tennessee Titans. Dan Open Door Moore. Pensman will agree with me on that one. There's the guy that should get that award.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I feel bad
hey.
for Cam Ward.
And I want to address P Digits. He's in the chat. He says agents will love this award. I'll be surprised if it's not aimed or geared more to an offensive tackle, which protector of the year, when you think of running the ball, you don't really think of protecting anything. You're just trying to run the ball. However, when you're passing the ball, who protects the quarterback more than the offensive tackles? You got all these elite defensive ends. So, yeah, I would be shocked if it went to anything other than an offensive tackle. But again, to my point initially, I would say offensive guard because of the tush push.
Okay. So I know you were just talking about some of the things that they have decided at the winter meetings here. One of the things that they voted on is to allow the guys to participate in the Olympics, to play flag football. Any thoughts on who should be on the team and who shouldn't? Let's start with who should be the quarterback.
You're talking about the Olympic team?
The Olympic team, yep.
And keep in mind, it's flag football,
Flag.
not regular football.
Correct.
Dak Prescott should be the quarterback because he doesn't get touched and he cries a lot. So
Okay.
he'll be perfect with flag football.
Ralph, who would you?
Oh, gosh, I couldn't even tell you. There's so many people out there. You probably would have to go with somebody who's more, who just kind of like came into the league. Probably somebody like one of the draft picks, maybe a Drake May or somebody like that. Somebody who just, the last couple of years came into the league. I don't see anybody that's, upper echelon quarterback wanting to do that and get injured or worry about, what I mean? Some young guy on a rookie contract, maybe. Yeah.
JD, your thoughts?
Well, I have two. And first of all, let me start off by complimenting everyone because it's amazing when I'm on the show how something that, you say, Candy or Pensman or Ralph, whatever you guys say, it triggers something in my brain a little bit. So it actually, one, shout out to South Florida Tribune and having a great time every Thursday night.
Yes.
And I always do have weird opinions that, like I said, pop in my mind because of something someone else said. So I would take a completely different approach to selecting my Olympic flag football quarterback. And you want me to tell you the first thing I would look at? This is different, y'all. Brace yourself. I would look at players who have no non-contact injuries. So Pensman, he said Dak Prescott because he gets touched or he won't get touched and he cries a lot. He also is very injured a lot. And he's also injured a lot because of non-contact injuries.
Right.
So if I'm looking for someone to play a non-contact type of football, I don't want somebody that's going to come because the NFL, I can't even believe they allowed this. We talked about it here on the show before. I said there was no way in the world that these coaches and owners would let their star players go play flag football. But we've already seen Justin Jefferson. He wants to go play. He wants to win a gold medal, he says, in the Olympics for flag football. But that's the very first thing I'm looking at when picking any of these players. The ones who take care of their body, the ones who don't get injured very often, because as soon as someone like, I don't know, Joe Burrow, multiple ACL, MCL injuries on his knees. Dak Prescott, multiple injuries. I'm looking at people, Tua Tagovailoa, all the concussions. Heaven forbid he got a concussion on a flag football field. That would be wild, but stranger things in the universe have happened. So I think the NFL is good with this until it's like one of their best players and they go get hurt, and you might see a complete reverse on what they're thinking. But as far as the quarterback I'd pick, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't get injured often. Justin Herbert, he doesn't get injured very often. And how about anybody who wants to go play? If they raise their hand and say, I want to go be the quarterback, just let them go be the quarterback.
So, ironically, one of the ones that you just mentioned actually has stepped forward and says he wants to be part of it, and that's Patrick Mahomes. He wants to be quarterback on the flag football team. So, hello, Samir.
Hello, how are you?
He's
Good. How are
accomplished.
you?
Oh yeah, hey Samir, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on?
So
You
right now we are talking about the NFL allowing the flag football and the NFL players to play flag football in the Olympics. So we were talking about quarterbacks, and I had said that Patrick Mahomes was one of the ones that came out and says he wants to represent the United States. He wants to be there. I will say that just so everybody knows, under the current framework, the proposal limits participation to one player per NFL team for each country, with an exception of designated international players. And one of the things I heard is that even retired players could play. So will we see a Tom Brady trying to go out and be an Olympic medalist?
Well, he's got what, 6 Super Bowls? Why not? I guess,
Yeah.
or 7.
Why
Or
not?
whatever.
I mean, why not add a gold medal to that? What do you?
Yeah.
Why not add a gold medal to that? But yeah. I think on one, I do think the one player per team on a country rule is good. That way you don't. I mean, obviously the Team USA is going to have the most talent. They're going to win gold. Obviously, it won't even be close. But I do find that interesting. But I just don't know how, if you're, let's say, Roger Goodell, you could be for NFL players playing in the Olympics, but at the same time, for example, what if Patrick Mahomes plays and ends up getting hurt? Like, that obviously wouldn't be good for the league in more ways than one. So
right.
I think
Well,
you have to consider that risk as well. While it does help grow the game, and I know Goodell's been pretty big on that with the expansion of international games, which he discussed. But I just don't know how. I can understand how it could grow the game, but also you're putting your top players at risk.
right.
You are, but the proposed resolution also covers injury protections, including the purchase of league-wide insurance policies and a salary cap credit for any player who's injured during the event. The NFL will require Olympic flag football teams to meet minimum standards for medical staffs and field surfaces. The LA Olympics are scheduled to take place July 14th through the 30th of 2028. So...
Right. Well, hey, and I wanted to tie in a couple of these guys' comments too. I know Pensman said Alex was here earlier, but I missed his comment about Brock Purdy. Less than 30 guys in the world can do the job. If you get a top guy, you have to keep him, whether he's the best in the league or the 15th best. And that's back to Samir's point about if Patrick Mahomes, say he plays, he gets injured. Patrick's accomplished stuff in the NFL already, so it won't necessarily hurt his, stature as being one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, he's already accomplished stuff, so he would make sense as the Olympic quarterback. And then also, I think it was P Digits right down here. Back to what you just said, Candy. Will it allow for GMs to change their contracts because it's a risk? And here's a really good point. A lot of these dudes have contracts clauses that say they can't go ride on a 4-wheeler or a motorcycle
Yeah.
because of the risk of injury. So there would have to be like, I don't know. I think it's a dangerous game. I can't believe the NFL voted for them to go, honestly.
Yeah, that surprised me.
P. Digit says Joe Burrow needs to focus on break dancing to reach Olympic goal.
Yeah,
Joe
it's a bad
Burrow has-
offensive line. That's why every year.
Yeah,
Bengals,
I think part of it might have been the NFLPA, and if you think about it, like in hockey, we have 4 nations, so they allowed NHL players to go do that. They allow baseball players to play in the Olympics. They allow NBA to go play in the Olympics as well when they have basketball. So I kind of feel Roger almost, to help grow his brand and to kind of not go against all the other leagues, they kind of felt maybe that they needed to do that.
Brian had a couple of good picks on the stream as well. He said Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson. I like those picks, and I said Lamar is very rarely injured, which, like I said, and Samir, I wanted to get your take on this because right before you came on, I wasn't sure who I wanted to pick for the quarterback of the Olympic team, which was the question. But my reasoning or my thought process would be I'm looking for the guys with the least amount of non-contact injuries. So that eliminates Joe Burrow, Tua, Dak Prescott. So what do you think about that thought process as far as looking for guys who don't get injured very often to send to go play this game?
I think it absolutely makes sense because if you are playing a non-contact sport in this sense, which is flag football, you don't want guys on your team who have had a history of non-contact injuries. So I guess it does make sense.
That's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
That I make sense. Appreciate that, Samir.
Oh, you're playing right into his hands there. I don't know.
Hey, I've agreed with Pinsman a couple of times and Ralph a couple of times.
You could always add Johnny Manziel too to the list too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, I got an idea. How about Colin Kaepernick?
Why not? He's been trying out for the last 10 years.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Any of you that are on yes, Brian Pettit. It's actually the end of the second for those of you that are watching the NHL. It's Panthers 4, Hurricanes 0. So that's kind of crazy. And for those of you that are into the NBA, OKC is up 58, Minnesota Timberwolves 50, and that's at the half. So for the playoff games that are happening right now.
And if anybody's interested in the Braves Nationals, they went to extra innings, and the Nationals, beat the
And the
Braves.
Pirate game is on a rain delay against Milwaukee.
And the Yankees won 1-0 earlier today.
Yeah. There was absolutely no reason for the Braves to have lost that game.
What was it, a businessman special today, Pensman?
I think so. Clark Smith's dad was there, and he served in the Army and fought in the war. So that's one of the reasons why there was a lot of military there.
Yeah. Hey, I'll give you one guess where that guy played college baseball. Clark Smith. I mean,
what, South Carolina?
Yes, sir.
I figure you'll be happy about that.
Yes, sir. Hey, and then I was going to tell y'all 2 funny things too, real quick. Pensman just mentioned his Yankees. Y'all, last night on the stream when we were live, he was sweating, bro. He was sweating. They were losing by 2, and then it was 3-1, right?
Yeah, something like that.
3-1, 3-2. They came back. It was
4-3.
And the Yankees came back live on the stream, and then we were also live with the NBA playoff stuff.
Go ahead and
Halliburton.
Yeah. Go ahead and tell them.
Man, we were literally live watching that. I kind of quit paying attention. I thought the Pacers were toast. I was like, oh, it's 7-point lead, less than a minute, no chance. Teams in that situation were 0 and 994.
Yeah, I remember. I was watching the game yesterday, and I thought when they got up they were up by 7 or 8, And I'm like, okay, this game is over. Like, there's no way they could repeat what they did against Cleveland again, considering that New York is also a better team defensively than Cleveland. But when I think the tide turned when they got that foul call overturned on Toppin. I think you could kind of feel really the tide turn, and this was like, okay, maybe they might pull this out.
So, JD, since you kind of took it down this pathway and you were talking a little bit about the stat, teams trailing by 7+ in the last 50 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime in the playoffs are 4 and 1,702. The Pacers have 3 of those 4 wins, and they're all this year.
Against 3
Crazy.
different teams.
Yes. Yes, all 3 different teams, Milwaukee,
Bucks.
Cleveland, and the Knicks.
Yep. Bucks, Cavaliers. That is, I mean,
That's
when
insane.
you talk about absurd stats, I mean, it doesn't get any crazier than that, in my opinion. And the other, so yeah, I think I quoted them wrong. So yes, that was the stat for 7 points less than a minute, right?
Yes.
The other stat was 0 and 994 when the team leads by 14 points with 2:45 to go in the second quarter.
970. Yes.
Yeah, or with 2:45 to go in the fourth quarter. I mean,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, does anybody believe in fate? Because at this point, I almost think the Pacers are just fated to win the finals with this clutch gene, the way they're playing. I mean, they're top 10 in efficiency, offensive and defensive. I mean, am I crazy to think that it's just fate that the Pacers win this thing?
I mean, it could be, but at the same time, I just don't see anybody beating Oklahoma City. I feel like if Oklahoma City was going to lose a series, it was going to be the one against Denver.
Yeah, see, I didn't trust Oklahoma City's experience against Denver. I thought Denver with Jokic, I thought he would do enough. And yeah, OKC's really good, but maybe in the finals. I mean, well, the Pacers aren't experienced there either. So you have inexperienced. Man, I don't know. That's tough.
I mean, in that case, I just got to go with the better team, which in this case is Oklahoma City.
Fair. And the MVP of the league.
Yep.
Fair.
So, okay, so if you're gonna go down that one, I had 2 different stats since JD, you kind of led me right into this one.
We call that a segue in this business.
Exactly. So who won the NBA Most Valuable Player?
SGA.
Where did he play his college ball?
Ooh.
I forgot.
This stat surprises the bejeebers out of me because I can't believe he went to this school, but yet he's the first one from his school to win an NBA Most Valuable Player.
Was it Kentucky?
No, it can't be. Really?
It is. Yes.
Yeah, they've had a lot of talent come out of that school.
Where did Derrick Rose go to college? I could have swore he went to Kentucky.
It wasn't Kentucky.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe I've got him. But yeah, darn, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Like Kentucky's been this blue blood program for how long, and yet it's never produced an NBA MVP.
So I know they had Anthony Davis.
And Anthony Davis, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins.
That's who I got Derrick Rose confused with, John Wall, because they were about the same time coming out, I believe, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking. But that's why I was like, nope, not Kentucky. So yeah, of course, Kansas popped in my head, Duke, North Carolina.
They've also had Karl Anthony Towns.
Derrick Rose played for
Devin
Memphis
Booker.
Tigers.
Yeah, Memphis, P Digits. He hit it on the stream too. I was wondering why he said Memphis. Now I know he was answering me. Thank you, P Digits. Yeah, appreciate you, Bubba. Smartest comedian in the room, P Digits is.
So speaking of more segues here, the NBA. We're in a new era. In the previous 70 years, the same 7 franchises won 77% of the championships. For the first time in NBA history, there will be 7 different champions in 7 years.
I think it's exactly what the league needs. And I think it's long overdue. I know you have some people that like dynasties, and I think there's always a part of witnessing a dynasty that you go to appreciate. But at the same time, there are times where I guess they kind of overstay their welcome in a sense. Like, for example, everyone liked the Chiefs at the beginning of their dynasty. Now it's like we're all sick of them. Same with the Warriors, and then when they signed Kevin Durant, it's like, okay, we're all tired of the Warriors. In the finals every year, it was like, why play this season? We know what's going to happen.
Good evening, Jeremy.
So I do think this is great for the league. And not only that, you have to think about the teams that have been not only in the finals, but have been in the conference finals. Like, this is the first Western Conference Finals in, I think, 30 years or however long that doesn't feature a team from California or Texas. So
at least 30.
Yeah, so you have parity, and you have new teams in the mix now.
That's exactly, you just stole my word, Samir. I was literally about to
Parity.
say, can you say parity? Yes. Listen, I'm all for competitive balance. And exactly like you said, we get so sick of hearing, we get winners tiresome. We get tiresome of winners winning it all the time. You love them at first. They're a great story, but over time, I mean, Jimmy Johnson in NASCAR, people got sick of him. Steph Curry, people got sick of him. LeBron James, people get sick of him. You name them, Yankees, people got sick of them. Dodgers, Lakers,
Patriots.
all of these, Patriots. How can I forget the Patriots? Like, they might have liked it at first, and secretly down inside, it's like, I don't mind if they win. But at the end of the day, you get kind of sick of seeing it after a while.
Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, give me something new.
I agree. Ralph, your comments.
I don't really follow the NBA much, but I will say this: that I do agree parity needs to happen here. The NBA has fallen so far behind in marketing, and also they are kind of like the redheaded stepchild right now, and things like that. They're also trying to build up the WNBA a little bit. The NBA needs to come up with some different ideas. If this is what's going on, and the parity is really good here, and you have a competitive balance of teams due to the salary cap and some other things, that'll help the NBA out. But they need to really do a lot more, and by having some underdog type teams that are playing and winning and getting into championship games, there's nothing wrong with that. That'll help your league out.
Pensman, your thoughts?
I think it's good. Like Samir said, 30 years without a California team in the Western Conference. It's a good team. It's good mixture. It's good to see other teams have a chance. Like the Knicks haven't made this far since 2000, so I hope they get over this 1 point slump that they're in right now. So it'll be good to see them in the finals because it's Boston, LA. So it'll be good to see some new teams.
Okay. JD, you'd already talked about it, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I like it when small market teams do well, would be the last thing I would add to it. Again, it brings that parity, that competitive balance, and it lets you know that just because you spend all this money on athletes, like we talked about with the quarterbacks earlier, just because you build this ridiculous roster does not guarantee you're going to win. Same thing in college football. Ohio State got their win this year with the highest roster, but that doesn't always guarantee that you're going to win. We've seen many teams with the highest paid roster.
Yeah.
not really win, have great regular season success. So I like teams that are built organically.
Yeah. Like, for example, the Dodgers for years couldn't get over the hump. And they
laid an egg, Samir, big time. Laid an egg. What the highest paid salary players in all Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And they
for
can't
years,
get, and they finally
couldn't
got
get
into
over
the
the
World
hump.
Series last year. Yeah, too many misses.
And then last year they finally got over the hump. They spent like over $1 billion in free agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like buying championships. I mean, at the end of the day, that's
it's a lot better when it's homegrown and developed.
Right. I mean,
like one thing I can say about the Warriors dynasty before Kevin Durant, of course, or outside of Kevin Durant, those stars were all homegrown players. Steph, Clay, Draymond, that first championship run, Harrison Barnes. Like, they had homegrown players come through their organization. It wasn't bought.
Right. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what you can throw it in the fryer and boil it down to on fire up.
Yeah.
You can
like
buying it. We don't like buying championships.
And I feel like the reason why people liked the Spurs dynasty so much was, again, for the same reason. All of those players were homegrown players.
That's how the Braves are built. The Rangers were built. I mean, I guess you could call some of the Patriots kind of homegrown.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots, I mean, like, almost all of their core guys were homegrown players. Or players that didn't fit in one team, then they go there and excel in that system, like a Wes Welker or a Chris Hogan.
The only big free agent I remember them signing is Randy Moss.
He was traded.
Oh yeah, true.
Wasn't Christian Slater a free agent too?
Yeah, but he was no Randy Moss.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Tom Brady made
as far as Samir's saying.
Right. Yeah, Tom Brady made a lot of mediocre receivers look really good.
Right.
Amendola, Welker, Hogan, all of them. I mean, but yeah, we don't like buying championships.
Yeah.
Because the Braves don't spend money like that.
No.
Brian, he was complaining that he's mad about the Cubs losing Maddox to the Braves. But the Braves have plenty to complain about free agents they lost. I mean, think about Max Fried.
I mean, Swanson, not so much. Max Fried's having a great year in New York. So, I mean, the only one that doesn't bother me is Dansby. Like, losing Dansby really didn't bother me all that much.
Yeah, so Brian, you got us back. Y'all took Dansby from us, though. So you can be mad about Maddox all you want. I'm mad at you about Dansby going, even though Samir's not.
I just don't think he's worth his contract.
Right.
I mean,
he's consistent.
Don't get me wrong. I'd rather have Dansby over Nick Allen / Orlando Arcia, mainly Nick Allen now, but not at that price.
Mm-hmm.
And Ralph, don't you agree that Greg Maddux kind of earned his way out of Chicago?
Yeah, he did.
I like the way you worded that. He earned his way out of that hellhole.
He kind of
I had a bad experience with Greg Maddux.
Oh, do tell.
That's why.
Oh, okay, sure. I'll tell
Sorry,
you.
Candy.
That's why
If Candy will let me, I'll tell you.
Go for it.
Will let me.
Yeah, go for it.
I used to drive a cab in Pittsburgh. I drove for 15 years. I picked up Greg Maddux and this elderly gentleman that kind of looked like the guy on Caddyshack when he says that the graveyard's 2 blocks to the left. He looked like that guy. All right. I picked him up, took him from the William Penn Hotel in Pittsburgh all over to the over to PNC Park. I was real nice to him. Even called him Mr. Maddux. Didn't say a word to me. All he did was whine and complain about something going on with the team at the time. And he was with Atlanta. All he was doing was crying like a little baby about some stuff. And the elderly gentleman that was with him gave me for a $4 trip a $20 bill and said, keep the change. And he had to apologize for Greg Maddux's conduct with me. All right. I was being nice to him. How you doing? What's going on? How are you? How's everything? Nothing. Nothing at all. Then here's the kicker. He gets out of the cab, and this little girl goes up to him and says, "Hi, Mr. Maddox. Can I have your autograph?" And he went like this with his hand. Okay? That was my experience with Greg Maddux.
Gosh, I was about to try to defend the guy until I thought you were going to tell me that he talked to the woman, though, and not you. And then I was going to be really angry. But maybe he was pitching that day. Maybe he was just focused like Rory McIlroy. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau complained that Rory didn't talk to him on the final day of the Masters. Maybe he was pitching that day, Ralph. Don't take it personal, though. But I hear you. I would have been angry too, honestly.
But that's nice. I got a $16 tip from that from the old guy. I gave him a receipt. He had to apologize for for Greg's conduct. He says, "Look, I'm sorry about his conduct." I said, "That's fine."
Okay, so
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna go way off topic with this one. Way off topic with this one, and I didn't tell any of you guys this was coming, but this weekend there is a big race that happens every year around this time, the Indy 500. We all know that. Do you know what actually is going to happen tomorrow that hasn't happened in the first time in 10 years at Indy?
So is it a motorcycle race?
No.
Okay.
It is a race.
Friday.
It's not the motorcycles.
Is it the Indy Next series?
Nope. I doubt you guys are going to get it, so I'm going to put it out there, and then you guys
Horse race. It's a horse race.
Nope. All 6 Wienermobiles will be on at the same time, at the same place for the first time in 10 years, and they're going to race each other.
Oh, I didn't even know there were 6 of them. Jeez. 6 Wienermobiles.
6
I only
Oscar
thought there
Mayer
was one.
Wienermobiles.
I mean, I didn't even know there was 6 of them. Jeez.
I had
Oh my, what
something
is it?
funny
West
and
Coast, East
different.
Coast, Midwest, South. Yeah.
Pensman, do you have any takes on the Wienermobile? Nope, no comment.
I would love to see this. It's almost as good as the Progi race at PNC Park.
Well,
The Kunzler versus the ballpark.
so my comment, I guess, would be: have you guys ever seen the movie Accepted with Jonah Hill,
No.
where the dude creates a college? Well,
Mm-hmm.
this particular Jonah Hill, he has to pledge for a fraternity, and they make him dress up in a hot dog costume and go out on the quad where all the students are walking and everything, and he has to yell, "Ask me about my wiener." And I think that's perfect because they could use that at the racetrack. Ask me about my wiener in the Oscar Mobile hot dog race. That is not where I thought we were going with this Indianapolis 500 talk.
I had to keep it funny and different. I mean,
Hey,
we're
I'll tell
fighting
you a
it out,
story.
right?
We had a DJ here back in the 80s. Well, he started in the 80s. He ended in 2000. His name was Scott Paulson. And he was on a station here in Pittsburgh called WDV. And the Wienermobile was coming to Pittsburgh. So anybody that wanted to win tickets to some kind of concert, you had to come on. And whoever sang the best "I'm an Oscar Mayer Wiener," he gave you the tickets.
I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener.
Mayer Wiener, yeah, exactly.
That was, yeah, definitely not on my bingo card for things I would say on this show this evening.
Hey, you never know what topics we might bring up. Okay.
Oh my! Hey, I made beans and wieners the other night.
Candy, could I tie one thing in though to that Indy
You sure
500?
can.
So, Pensman and I, we just talked about it yesterday. This is where I thought you were going to go. And so, you guys believe in integrity in sports, right? So, did y'all see the Penske, the whole ordeal with them and cheating?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay, so I'll explain it and I'll get y'all's thoughts. When they qualified the other day, they found a few things on the Penske cars that were deemed modifications that shouldn't be made to the car. And Penske Racing came out and defended it and said, well, this isn't for us to gain any extra performance. It's just to be aesthetic, meaning it wants to look good to the eye. So they claimed there was nothing wrong with what they did. The following day, though, they fired their president, the director of operations, and a general manager, and said basically that Penske said he wanted to maintain the integrity of the sport, meaning these weren't aesthetically pleasing. They were basically cheating. But the day before, where was your integrity when you lied to everybody and said you weren't cheating? So this whole story's come about, and now Penske fired his top 3 guys. But integrity, you can't say one thing one day and then come out the next day and be like, yeah, I had to fire him to maintain integrity. You just told us the day before you weren't cheating. Like, what?
Do you believe that? Would you believe? Did he know what the enhancement was, and did he know that the enhancement would improve? Was cheating? Do you think? I mean, when he first said those first comments, and we're saying he lied one day, and then, you know what I mean? Like, did he know what the enhancements were at that time?
Right. Well, and I completely believed him the day before. But in order for it to happen over 24 hours, I'm assuming Indy looked at it and they were like, no, this is helping you gain an advantage. And then he had to act, essentially. So, I mean, you could call it backtracking, but I totally believed him the day before because it was literally just some wires into a box. And people posted it and, circled it and said, this is what Penske was, disqualified for. But I'm assuming he's probably just mad that his cars aren't going to be in the race for that prize money. Got to get that money.
Mm-hmm.
And
comment on it?
Funny enough, though, the president that got fired, his son drives for Penske in NASCAR, Austin Cindric.
Oh, my.
So, Ralph, though, what do you think about that integrity? You can't tell me one day you're not cheating and then the next day fire 3 people for
integrity is
cheating.
the key, JD. If you don't have integrity, you can forget about it. You can't say one story and then tell another story like you said and then expect everyone to believe it. I could give you a small example, and I know we don't talk politics here, but the mayor of Pittsburgh got voted out because he lied. His integrity wasn't there. He lied all the time. So he got voted out. When you lie like that, you get voted out. Or if you lie, you get fired. Your integrity is the most important thing in life and in sports is your integrity. And if you're going to lie, forget it. It's over. And your reputation's at stake too when you do stuff like that. That's not good at all.
And Roger Penske's had a stellar reputation for years.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. But when you do stuff like that, that's bad for your reputation because people now are going to think what's going to come out of his mouth next. That's going to be a lie. You see what I'm getting at? And that's where people are now going to question him about his integrity like that.
P Digits is a hand model, and he said he couldn't believe he forgot about the.
We're not going in that.
No. It's their comments.
Oh, I know. I thought we were talking about last night.
No. The comments. So P Digits, though, he's a hand model, and he said he couldn't believe he forgot the Wienermobile race. And I said, well, I honestly can't believe that they weren't going to use your hands to model something around the cars or on the track. P Digits hands and some wieners. Golly, that's the most interesting thing at Indy now, not the cheating scandal.
So how do
you know what, JD? That might be a good distraction for that cheating thing.
Exactly.
So let's change topics back to the NFL. what do you guys think of? We learned this week that Charles Woodson was approved at a league meeting to become limited partner to the ownership group for the Cleveland Browns. Any thoughts?
I think it's a good investment for him.
Yeah.
From what I know, it's yeah. From what I know, it's a pretty small share that he's going to own. So he won't. It's not like he's really going to have much of a say or an impact on football operations. But I mean, I guess it's kind of good if you're branding or if you're advertising, kind of like what the Hawks used to do with Grant Hill, who owns a pretty small portion of the team. So yeah.
Anybody else? Who else wants to? Pensman, you want to talk about Charles Woodson?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good investment. Hope it works out for him. I like to see him as a Packer, but
Ralph, your thoughts on Woodson?
It depends on what kind of ownership it is. If it's a small piece and he doesn't have that much, like a minority ownership kind of thing, then he doesn't have much say in stuff. And it's not going to do any good anyway because Cleveland stinks anyhow. So, what's the difference? They've been making bad decisions for years. And they need – maybe Charles Woodson can add something to that. Either add something to try to improve their bad decision making over the years from the numerous quarterbacks and stuff like that they've had number one picks and can't get it right.
It's actually very funny you said that, Ralph, because that was going to be kind of what I said. I see it basically as them buying a piece of the team and becoming consultants. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, they don't really have much say-so, but they can possibly affect the decision-making of the team. I mean, think about Tom Brady, who Brian actually, talk about segues. Tom Brady is apparently risking it all at the Indianapolis 500 and taking a ride with Jimmy Johnson. So we went from Indy 500 back to the NFL. I was going to mention Tom Brady. But, I just see it as them, like, I don't know, just hire a consultant. Don't make them buy part of the team. Unless they want to, unless that's part of their condition. But when I see former players like that, I just think they're just going to be there to be a consultant.
It's a PR stunt.
That could, very well be true as well. I don't hate that.
He grew up in Fremont, Ohio. So he's kind of from that area. Now, interestingly enough, though, he did win the 97 Heisman Trophy at Michigan, and typically people in Ohio don't like Michigan people, typically. But
no, you don't say.
Yeah, yes, I do say. I think it's good for him. if he wants to be part of ownership, he used to play. He obviously played at a high level because he was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He never played for the Browns, but maybe that's why they have always done so poorly. But anyways, okay.
Hey, Candy, hold on
Yeah.
1 second. You want to answer this question quick?
YouTube TV.
Yeah, we talked earlier. We were talking about how much does it cost. We opened actually with how much does it cost to watch every game this season in the NFL. And let me get to my screenshot of that. If you want the Sunday ticket, it's $522. If you want YouTube TV, it's $563.88. If you want Peacock, it's $13.99. Netflix is $22.99. Amazon Prime is $89.94. ESPN Plus is $104.94. Taxes and fees, $197.66 for a total of $1,515.40.
You got to take out a loan for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it. It's a money grab for the NFL, but I just feel like that. And at the end of the day, it's a business, but it's just not a good deal for the fans for a lot of reasons. Like, it shouldn't be that expensive just to watch an NFL game. Like, I just think it's that simple.
Well, I mean,
I
back in the day, you only got to watch one team, and it was on whatever local channel that you were getting at that
Yeah.
time. You know,
So
and
I
it was
guess that's that
always
point too. And
I
I
think it was
guess
always
whatever
the
nationally
Redskins.
televised game was on.
Yeah, I missed out on that part of the conversation as well. So my one take on it though is fans have already been priced out of the in-stadium experience.
Yeah.
Now we're about to get priced out of the in-home experience. I mean,
Right.
and granted, I don't care to watch every game. I like to watch my team and the big matchups, and then I can just check everybody else's score. So it's not that big of a deal for me. But it is
See, and that's
ridiculous.
where it depends on if your team has been really good and do they have a lot of primetime games that are on, the majors or not. And the problem is, like, for me, I don't live for the team where the team is local that I root for or that I want to watch. Let's face it, I live where the Dolphins are local. That's not my team by any stretch of the imagination. And my husband follows a different team. So for us, we do some of them. We don't do all of those.
Cat
Yeah,
Bella.
and again, I think what people aren't considering is life happens and people move. Or
Yeah, I
like
did.
for example, you could grow up in Atlanta as a Falcons fan and end up moving to Philadelphia. Obviously, you're not going to get Falcons games in Philadelphia. Or it could be a situation where you grow up in a state that doesn't have an NFL team. So you could end up adopting one. Like, let's say you live in Oklahoma, you end up adopting the Cowboys.
Ugh.
Well, I guess that's a bad example.
Yeah.
I guess
Come on,
let's
Smear.
say you live in Oklahoma and you end up adopting the Jacksonville Jaguars for whatever reason as your favorite NFL team.
That's better.
I mean, clearly the Jaguars are not going to get a lot of exposure in Oklahoma. So you kind of miss out on watching your team. And if you wanted to watch them, you'd have to pay an arm and leg to do so.
Right. Well, and then on the stream too, Brandon, he says, so it's going to be cheaper for me just to go to all the games in person. 8 home games have got to be under $1,500 for the cheap seats.
Well, it depends. Like, I know at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 300 level seats, like nosebleeds, usually are about like somewhere around $90 to $100 a ticket, which in my opinion is pretty high for nosebleeds. But that's just the way of the NFL. It's become less about the fan experience and more about corporate minimalism.
Right.
And it's unfortunate. Like, not only is home field advantage dying in the NFL, the ability to watch your team has become more difficult.
Well, unless you're a Panthers fan, because last year they had tickets for like $4.
Like,
Yeah. Wait, didn't a couple years ago you guys were selling tickets for like 15 cents or something outrageous?
Yeah, it was like 47 cents. It was last year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
ticket prices vary significantly across teams. Some teams, like the Raiders, have the highest average ticket prices. So I'm going to go through a couple of them, the top 5 in both categories. Most expensive NFL tickets, and this is the average for 2024. Lions were $254, Raiders $243, Eagles $224, 49ers $204, and Bears $176. The least average expensive tickets in the NFL for 2024 was Tampa Bay Buccaneers $71, Carolina Panthers $65, Arizona Cardinals $58, Jacksonville Jaguars $48, and the New Orleans Saints $43. So that's average prices.
Wow.
So yes.
Yeah.
You could probably make it to the game for close to what the TV cost is going to be. The only thing that's going to get you at the game, though, obviously, is concessions.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. And
Yeah,
parking.
exactly.
And parking.
Yes,
Parking.
and parking. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I mean though. I mean, we have been slam priced out of this.
Yeah.
Put in the fryer
Yeah.
and fried.
Yeah, and again, it's just unfair to the average fan that wants to see their team play. Like, I know, again, this may be a bad example, but the NBA playoffs, a lot of Knicks fans have been complaining about the ticket prices at Madison Square Garden. And apparently, a lot of the middle class fans are being priced out. And they're saying that's what's contributed to their I think they're 3-4 at home in the playoffs. So I think that's what a lot of people have said. It may contribute to their unideal home record. Also, now in regards to the NFL, you have an issue when you have a team in a market like Los Angeles where the Rams have done virtually nothing but win ever since they've moved back. But still, nonetheless, whenever you watch a Rams game at home, it's at least 30 to 35% of the opposing team's fans. And I get that LA is a very transient market. You have people from all over that live there, but it is just a bad look. And I know they haven't been there as long, but they do have a history in LA. They were in LA for a long time before they went to St. Louis. It's just a bad look when you have a team that is as successful as the Rams and fail to have a good home field advantage. Like if you're the Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta is also a pretty transient market. We've got people from all over here. And whenever we have mainly whenever the team isn't doing well, which has been the past 7 years, either that or whenever there is a legacy team like Pittsburgh, Dallas, Green Bay, when they come to town, a good chunk of their fans are going to show up. So if you have been a losing team like the Falcons, who have been a losing team for 60 years, that is kind of like, okay, that's kind of understandable. But the Rams, it's like that shouldn't be happening.
I mean, Dallas Cowboys have taken over the Panther Stadium numerous
Oh
times.
yeah.
And then
Oh.
I did.
And
I was
Steeler
gonna
fans
have
have
to-
taken over stadiums.
Oh, yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
Oh, hands down. I remember they came here week 1. And
Yes.
it was a pretty
Terrible town
it was
show.
at least a 50-50 split.
Mhm.
Like,
Brandon, oh, go ahead.
I know for years, until this past year, Washington would have their stadium taken over regularly.
Hmm. Detroit back in the day, probably. Detroit probably used to get overrun when they were Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland, no.
No,
You don't think
Cleveland's
Cleveland
pretty
gets
loyal, even though
overrun?
their team stinks. Yeah.
Mhm.
They even travel well. I mean, when they come to Pittsburgh, there's a lot of Cleveland fans that actually come to Pittsburgh to see the Browns play the
Tampa
Steelers.
before Brady got there.
Hmm. I can see that. Brandon, though, on the stream, he says last year, y'all, he managed to go to 3 games and a practice for $10. I asked him which team. He said he paid for 1 preseason and got 3 passes from local media. So, Brandon, I'm going to need to know that trick. Which,
Yeah.
granted, I went to a bunch of college basketball games this year, but guess what? I didn't pay to get into any of them. Not that they were that expensive, but I had media passes. But that was the only reason I was there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not voluntarily choosing. And P Digits, he says, is hitting college football too. I mean, we've gotten priced out of college football games, especially
Yeah, I
when
don't
they play in
want to talk
NFL
about
stadiums.
media credentials.
I mean, what I would do if I were commissioner, I would make a rule that I would not only implement a price ceiling on tickets, which will never happen, but I would make a rule that if your team has a losing season, you cannot raise ticket prices the next year. I mean,
That'd be perfect for the Browns.
I think that's pretty fair.
And then Matt
Like, there is no reason why the Raiders, and I get it's Vegas, but there is no reason from an optical standpoint why the Raiders should have the most expensive average ticket price in the NFL.
Yeah.
Why they're in Vegas?
I mean, but the team sucks. They're terrible. I mean, it's just a bad optics standpoint, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, they got to pay for that new stadium. And then
Mhm.
Madcap, he brings up a good point too, because this would be a question I would ask. How much are they getting tickets for overseas games? How much are those tickets going for? Because he's mad that the Chargers are getting robbed of a home game versus the Chiefs because it's in Brazil. So that's also a fair point. Now they're taking some of these games and moving them overseas.
Yeah.
And what are they charging for the prices for those tickets? If they're charging what they charge here in the U.S., I mean, they can charge whatever they want when they go overseas, right?
It's really been the wave of not only the new stadiums being built, but also the implementation of the PSLs, which I think have had a big part in killing home field advantage.
Texans have 2 games in LA this season. That's wild, says Brandon.
Yeah, playing the Chargers and the Rams.
Yeah, that's crazy. At least they'll know the stadium well, I guess.
Yeah.
So the average price for NFL International Series tickets in 2025 is around $858.21, with prices starting at some as $128.70 for some games. VIP seating can cost as much as $5,000. For premium specific game, prices fluctuate depending on the matchup, location, and seating. For example, a game in Brazil between the Packers and Eagles saw an average sold price of $1,000. Average. So it just depends.
I mean, that's still a higher average than some of the ones that we talked about earlier, isn't it? 850. So yeah, when they go overseas, they getting that money too, and some. Got to get that money.
And is that including flight too?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. I thought that was part of flight too.
They probably got some package deals, I bet.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I know the Steelers are offering package deals for the Ireland game.
I don't even
Okay,
know
guys.
how much that would cost.
Yeah,
Wow.
those are insane prices.
Never been there, don't plan to be there.
Let me do a station break because I haven't paid the bills recently. South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by my husband, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved and changed. You can find a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you podcast. You want to advertise or sponsor a show, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email me at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Okay. My town. Let's go around and say what's happening. My town. Ralph, let's have you start tonight.
Well, which town do you want?
Whichever town you want to do.
Well, this past weekend, we just had a rock festival here in Ocean City, Maryland. Def Leppard was the headline. Close to, I'd say, probably about 100,000 people showed up for this. And me, I stayed home because I was smart enough not to go out anywhere because of the traffic. So I stayed home. So there you go. But anyway, in Pittsburgh right now, there's a lot of slack going on about who the Steelers are going to get for a second wide receiver. George Pickens is gone, the crybaby himself, and drama queen number one gone. Was traded to the Dallas Cryboys. Perfect place for him. So but anyway, the Pirates are playing the Milwaukee Brewers. They're in a rain delay right now. They're down 5-3. So. And the Penguins are still looking for a head coach. And Pitt's getting started with football camp in August. We're going to find out where they go in football this year. Alan Green has put the word out that the athletic director at Pitt, who came from Tennessee, a winning program, he said that both Jeff Capel for turning down 2 NIT bids and Pat Narduzzi, if we get what we got last year, a 6-game losing streak and a loss in a bowl game, I think one or both of them are going to be gone at the end of 2025. So that's my town.
Okay. Samir, what's happening in your town?
Regarding the Atlanta Hawks, Dyson Daniels was received first team all defense honors. He is just the 5th player in Hawks history to receive that honor and the first since Dikembe Mutombo in 1998. The Braves fell back under 500. They lost 7-6 to the Washington Nationals. AJ Smith-Shawver got lit up today in about a little over 2 innings, allowed 5 runs. All those 6 earned runs, including 5 in the second inning. Matt Olson hit another home run today. It was the 3rd game in a row in which he has homered. He even hit a game-tying double top of the 9th to tie the game at 7. So the final score is 8-7, not 7-6. So it tied the game at 7. But third base coach Matt Tuya Sasopo, it was a horrible send. Sent Austin Riley home from first, got thrown out at home, wasn't even close. We get runners on first and third in the top of the 10th. Eli White hits into a double play. They win the bottom of the 10th. So 24-25, back under 500, but there is a but. Ronald Acuna Jr. is making his long-anticipated return at Truist Park tomorrow, 7:20 against the San Diego Padres. It's his first game since tearing his ACL May 26th last year. Otherwise, pretty quiet on the Falcons front. There is a lot of excitement surrounding the rookie class. That includes Jalen Walker specifically. And there is a lot of buzz around Kobe Bryant, corner out of Kansas, undrafted free agent. I know Raheem Morris raved about him even before the draft. I'm honestly surprised he didn't get drafted. I thought he would go maybe in like the 5th or 6th, but I know his size was an issue, which led to him being undrafted. We'll see if he can make the final roster, which I definitely think he can. So that's what's going on in my town.
JD, what's happening in your town?
In my town, first of all, shout out to all the loyal listeners, Madcraft, P Digits, Brian, I forget who else, Jeff we had in here. Thank you guys all in the stream, man. We really appreciate it. Gamecock Chuck, Brian. That my town, y'all's town, everybody's town is just amazing for the support. And who needs support right now is the Clemson Tigers. P Digits, I know that's your team. I told y'all that they would get hot at the right time, which they are currently on a 5-game win streak, playing in the ACC tournament right now. And so maybe I would have liked to have won a few games a little sooner and maybe lost a couple down the stretch and then make sure they get hot at the right time. But when it comes to tournament time, I trust Eric Bakich, and that's a very tough thing for a Gamecock fan to say, complimenting their rival team. But I'm not above being a gentleman on Southern Fried Sports. So I told you guys to relax about Clemson. I think they'll be just fine. And, yeah, of course, Madcraft is brave, full-blooded, and Clemson won tonight in an epic game. Exactly. What's crazy, though, I did want to mention, too, about my town, to Samir's point about Ronald Acuna. He was a healthy scratch tonight, so they saved him coming back for a home game tomorrow, I do believe, because he could have made it back tonight. And it'll be an epic return for him tomorrow, I hope. Coming back just 362 days after tearing his ACL.
Yeah.
3 days short of a year. as you said, May 26th. So
I mean, who knows? Maybe he can help give this team a spark. We need it because we've got 6 games coming up against the Padres and the Phillies. And I know the Padres have lost 6 straight, but they are still a better team at the moment than the Braves. They swept us in 4 games out in San Diego to begin the season. So we'll see if we can get a little revenge.
I certainly hope so. That's it for my town, though.
Pensman, your town.
For the first time in 3 years, the Hershey Bears will not be winning the Calder Cup. As JD knows, the Checkers beat the Hershey Bears last night, and now they're limited, so that's what's going on there. The Steelers can't give up a second round pick to get Chris Olave, which I don't understand why. We're still waiting for a 41-year-old person to make a decision, and he needs to make a decision by June 10th through the 12th. So that's what's going on in my town.
You can have a 37-year-old.
No, I don't want Kirk Cousins.
No, they still waiting on Aaron Rodgers, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
at
know.
this point, if I'm the Steelers, I'm just be like, forget it, move on.
I would by now. Ralph
And,
would agree with that.
And I will say, when healthy, Chris Olave, in my opinion, is arguably better than George Pickens. But that's the
That's
problem.
a healthy one, though, Samir. That's the problem. He's a concussion case.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help when you have Derek Carr throwing you suicide passes over the middle of the field. So,
Okay, my town. Florida Panthers beat Carolina Hurricanes today, so they take a 2-0 lead in that series. As far Ralph, the rain delay is over. The Brewers are now up 8-3, bottom of 8 against the Pirates. The Milwaukee Admirals are down 2-1 in their series to try and go to the Calder Cup as well. The Bucks, their offseason is definitely in flux because there's been all kinds of talk about, is Giannis going to stay? Are we going to trade him? Where are we going to go? The one thing I will tell you, for all of you, for anybody that's talking about it, the Bucks are not going to let Giannis go without getting a haul. And I mean a haul. So, because he's under contract, and he's said before that he would like, and I get this, he would like to play for one team his whole career. Now, but he is also open to trades because obviously the Bucks do not have draft capital going forward to bring in a lot of people or to trade to get a lot of people. So it is going to be a very interesting offseason. We will be waiting pins and needles, I guess, for anybody that's a Bucks fan. The one thing I will say that I thought was pretty cool is that the Wisconsin Badgers will but next year on September 6th, 2026, have moved their game against Notre Dame from Saturday to Sunday because they're going to be playing it at Lambeau Field. So that, I think, is going to be an expensive ticket and a cool ticket because Badgers playing Notre Dame at Lambeau Field. So, with that being said, I'm going to let everybody go and tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Let's start with Pensman.
You can find me on X at Pensman Sports. You can find me on YouTube at Pensman Sports. You can find me on Twitch at Pensman Sports 07. And you can find me on Discord at Pensman Sports.
Ralph.
You can find me on my own YouTube channel, Ralph Williams, RW Media. It's a pleasure tonight to meet some of my subscribers at the Bonfire Restaurant in Ocean City, right on the Coastal Highway. I want to thank Scott Morganroth for the advice he gave me on promoting subscribers, because one guy came up to me, saw me at the buffet and said, I know you. I watch your programs. I got you from another guy who said he subscribes to your channel. There you go. So it works. But anyway, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And please, I need 2 more followers to make 300. I'm itching along. I get 1 or 2 a day for my Twitter account to be up to 300. I was at 299. Now I'm down to 298. So I need 2 followers to make it to 300. You can also catch me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and I'm also have 2 radio shows, 1250 AM The Answer, 92.5 FM up in Pittsburgh. Also, you can catch them on 1250 The Answer, pgh.com, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. The Ralph Williams, Tony Moreno show, and then the Sports Corner radio show, 2 to 3 p.m. on the same station, same thing. And don't forget Saturday, the Sports Wrap show with me, Ralph Williams, Candy Ebling, filling in for Scott Morganroth and Leo Haggerty. And we have a lot to talk about on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. So that'll be on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X platform, South Florida Tribune Network, Huddle Sports Network, and real soon to be on the Oracle Talk Radio Network. Also, all RW Media programs will be on there as well. Coming up soon.
JD, how can people find you?
You can find me at Southern Fried Sports JD, and I encourage you guys all to come subscribe. We have loyal listeners, just like here on South Florida Tribune. We are as authentic as the coupon that Madcraft said he found inside the seam of a jacket at a thrift shop. It was a 1998 Hardee's coupon that this guy found. But you don't need to go to Hardee's to get Southern Fried Chicken. You can come to Southern Fried Sports. I'm willing to cook anything. You can find me at JD Wyatt06 on X. And you can look me up on Facebook if you wish, JD Wyatt. And don't forget, I write articles for GreenvilleSportsMedia.com, so feel free to give them a click if you can. And just be blessed, not stressed, and be kind to one another, dang it.
Samir, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ATL_Samir2401. That is, again, ATL_Samir2401. I post a lot of my articles there. Most of my tweets are about Atlanta sports, in particular the Falcons. I am a contributing writer for Sideline Sports, but I am currently posting my articles to the South Florida Tribune website as Sideline's website is down. I also have a Instagram account at samir.sidelinenet. Again, that is samir.sidelinenet. And again, I'll be posting my articles there. I'll be posting clips from the show there. So thank you guys for tuning in.
So I want to address a couple little things in the chat that I have noticed have popped up, especially from Madcraft. Madcraft, I live in South Florida, so I live just west of Fort Lauderdale, basically. And I actually do not hate the Canes. I actually cover the Canes. So I was there. If you go to the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel, there are media availabilities with Cam Ward, with Mario Cristobal. We've got Xavier Restrepo out there. So I definitely do not hate your Canes. I grew up in Wisconsin, so that is where I say home, and that's the teams that I really follow. But I do follow the teams down here. I mean, I keep my eye on them. But yes, I definitely a Wisconsin girl. But with that being said, I'm going to go through my spiel, and then I have one last thought before we close it out. So, South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book. My husband wrote it. Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It talks about Scott talks about all kinds of stories. He talks about how media has changed over his 40 plus years. He's interviewed people like Muhammad Ali, Tommy Lasorda, Don Mattingly. There's just a whole bunch of stories. Go get the book. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where my husband also writes Cane stories or about the Canes on our YouTube, on the Tribune page as well. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise, you can call Scott. 954-304-4941. And if you want to email us because you want to be a guest on the show or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. I do want to thank everybody that's been in the chat room. You're welcome, Mad Crap. Thank you. I want to thank everybody that's been a guest, everybody that's been on the panel. I would ask anybody that is in the chat room, if you have not subscribed to all of their YouTube channels, if you have not found them on social media, please do that. We're all trying to grow. As I leave you all, I want to, first of all, I want to say congratulations to anybody that is a part of a graduation. It's the start of graduation season, and I know it's been a lot of graduates down here in South Florida. I want to congratulate you on your graduation, and I also want us to take a quick moment because, as I alluded to earlier, Monday is the Indianapolis 500, but that's not Sundays, but that's not I want to talk about Monday. Monday is Memorial Day. So I want us to take a minute and to just think of all the veterans that they laid their life on the line for us. And I don't think we always think about that. You know, we think of it as, oh, it's another holiday, it's a day off. But people lost their life for our country. And that is who we celebrate and should be thinking about. So take a minute of silence for them. We live in a great country. Thank you to all those veterans that sacrificed. Any last thoughts, anybody?
If nobody else has one, I did want to mention one.
Okay.
Jim Irsay, since you just mentioned Memorial.
Yeah,
Rest in peace, rest in peace, Jim Irsay. And I'll end that morbid thought with a little bit of a joke real quick. Not really a joke. It was what I used as a segue yesterday. Pensman's already heard it. But unfortunately, nobody wanted Jim Irsay to die yesterday. He did, unfortunately. But the one thing that we wanted to die was the tush push, and it didn't. And with that, I will say good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Right.
Thanks,
Good night.
everybody.